Lookout Mountain or Signal Mountain. One mountain has a grocery store, gas station, coffee shops, restaurants on top. You can live up there for weeks without descending into the valley. On the other mountain, you're driving for literally everything, even milk. One mountain has very limited tourist traffic year round. On the other mountain, you've got Rock City, Ruby Falls, the Incline, Point Park, and so much more that's attracting tourists up there year round. So the goal of this video is to help you make a smarter decision, and by the end of it, you should know which is a better community and a better fit for you. The very first part of this video is about property and what you can actually get on top of each mountain. So when it comes to Signal Mountain, here's what you can get. This is known as the Growth Mountaintop community in the Greater Chattanooga area. You've got a lot of new construction. There's a lot of new development up here, but at the same time, you can actually still purchase historic homes up there, especially near the Old Town Historic District on Signal Mountain. Now, when it comes to lot sizes, 1 to 3 acres is fairly common up on top of Signal Mountain, especially once you're well on top of the Cumberland Plateau. Further back from the bluff, you can expect to find new construction homes on larger plots of land. Now, something to look out for with any new construction community is that there is most likely going to be an HOA. So if you are adverse to HOAs, homeowners associations, then this is something to look out for and to keep an eye out for. Now, on the other side of the Tennessee River, we've got Lookout Mountain, and Lookout Mountain is known as being the historic ridge. This is kind of the historic area that overlooks downtown Chattanooga, and this area has a very, very rich history. It played a pivotal role in the Civil War, and there are remnants of that still up there on top of the mountain. For the most part, Lookout Mountain is pretty built out. So there is some new construction going in up there, but it tends to be when you see new construction that there was an existing home that was there, it was purchased, torn down, and then a new home was put in its place. There really is a cohesive architectural style up there though. You have a bit of Tudor revival, a few mid-century homes sprinkled in, and a lot of English cottage homes up there as well. Along the east brow, which is what's facing the city of Chattanooga, at least on the Tennessee side, the lots tend to be quite narrow and the houses on there tend to maximize vertical space a little bit better. On the west brow, the lots are quite a bit larger and you tend to have a little bit more space between homes. Homes tend to be quite close together, especially on the Tennessee side. There's not really any planned unit development and there are almost no HOAs in the area. I think there are a few condo buildings up there, but for the most part, there are not homeowners associations up on Lookout Mountain. Now let's talk about how far money goes up on top of each of these mountains. So on Lookout Mountain, over the past 12 months, the average price per square foot was $384. Now on Signal Mountain, it was about $245. So again, that's Lookout Mountain, $384 a square foot, and on Signal Mountain, $245 a square foot. So if we were to assess what that will buy you at different price points, on Signal Mountain between $500,000 and $700,000, you could get maybe a 2,000 to 2,200 square foot ranch home, maybe on half of an acre, and it would probably be pretty close to move-in ready. If you found something in this price range on Lookout Mountain, it's likely that it would be maybe 1,500 square feet. It would be incredibly rare to find this, and it would probably need quite a bit of rehabilitation. Between $750,000 and $1.2 million on Signal Mountain, you could get a 3,500 square foot house with fairly high-end finishes, probably on the newer side. There are a lot of new construction homes around this price range up on Signal Mountain. On Lookout Mountain, you could expect maybe a 2,000 to 2,800 square foot home with a pretty good location, possibly with a bluff view at the higher end of that price range, but that would be a little bit more rare. It's likely that the home would have historic character and finishes to it as well. I would say on both mountains, homes with a brow view tend to start around 1.5 million. And so from 1.5 to 2, you are going to be looking at a nice view, potentially some higher end finishes. On Signal Mountain, you're probably more in the new construction world. On Lookout Mountain, you're in something a little bit more historic. Over $2 million on Signal Mountain is likely going to buy you more acreage, better amenities, maybe a pool with a view. On Lookout Mountain, over $2 million is probably going to buy you something with a lot of history, a lot of character. It will most likely be quite iconic and in great shape at this price point. Now, I have seen some of the Browview mansions up there with a lot of historic character go more for $4 and $5 million. So location is everything. The size of the lot is everything. The rarity of the lot is everything. On Lookout Mountain, there is a very limited supply of land. On Signal Mountain, you've got quite a bit more land, quite a bit more potential for views. And so what you get on Signal Mountain for $2 million is probably going to involve more land. What you get for $2 million plus on Lookout Mountain is probably going to involve less land, and we'll probably have to do more with the replacement value of a home like that and with the historic value and character of that type of home. Over the past 5 years, Signal Mountain has had the strongest market in Hamilton County. In fact, the market has seen a 63% increase since 2021. Lookout Mountain has a very stable market, but because it's essentially fully built out and there is so much demand for this area, and it is difficult to acquire a lot up there, there is just not a lot of data on what home prices have been doing over the past 5 years. Inventory on the Tennessee side of Lookout Mountain is extremely limited. On average in 2025, Signal Mountain homes sold at 98% of their list value within 36 days on market. So this is a very hot and attractive market for resale. Hey, really quick, this is an ad. If you don't need help finding a home in the Greater Chattanooga area, skip this part of the video. But if you do, if you're thinking about moving here, my name is Andrew Boyd, and I specialize in helping people relocate to the area. Over the past couple of years, I've helped several people make the move to the area, and I've got the reviews to back it up. So if you're looking for more personalized advice and help finding the right home, I would encourage you to reach out. You can do so by scanning the QR code here on screen or by reaching out with the contact information in the description below. I'm really looking forward to meeting you. All right, folks, we've paid the bills. Let's get back to the video. Okay, so now let's talk about taxes and tax differences as they compare on both of these mountain communities. We're gonna compare Signal Mountain and Lookout Mountain here. So on Signal Mountain, if you're in the incorporated city of Signal Mountain, then on a $1 million home, your taxes are gonna be roughly $9,800, just under $10,000. Now, if you're outside of the city, so in unincorporated Signal Mountain, then your taxes would be closer to $6,000 on a $1 million home. In fact, I just did a deal up on Signal Mountain where the house was outside of the city limits and the price point was quite a ways above $1 million, and the annual taxes were actually just around $3,000 a year. Now on Lookout Mountain, you're gonna pay property tax. You're gonna pay quite a bit of it. There's basically no way to be outside of city limits there, and so you're gonna pay county and city taxes. So on a $1 million home, you're looking at $11,000 to $12,000 of taxes. So this could vary quite a bit. It's going to depend on what your property is assessed at, but let's just say that it's assessed right around $1 million. You're going to be paying at least $10,000 to $12,000 in property tax a year. Now the Georgia side of Lookout Mountain is a little bit of a wild card. So in Georgia, you do have to pay state income tax. Tennessee has no state income tax, so you do save on taxes there. On the Georgia side, you could live a little bit further out and be outside the Georgia city of Lookout Mountain. And if you were a little bit further down, then you could potentially avoid paying city property taxes, but it's unlikely that that will outweigh the savings from not paying state income tax over in Tennessee. Now let's move on to category 4, which is the community and the culture of living on both of these mountains. So when it comes to living on Lookout Mountain, so you can kind of think of these two mountains as being old money versus new money. So as we've talked about, Lookout Mountain is very historical. There's a rich history to the area. You have a lot of multi-generational families that have passed property down up on top of Lookout Mountain. On Signal Mountain, you have a lot of your doctors, lawyers, tech executives, people that need to be downtown Chattanooga on a regular basis, but also want to escape, step back, and feel that sense of separation. I would say that on Lookout Mountain, things tend to be a little bit smaller, a little bit more tight-knit, because you have connections and families that go back generations. Now on Signal Mountain, you have the Signal Mountain Golf and Country Club, and on Lookout Mountain, you have the Lookout Mountain Club that's connected to the Fairyland Club. I'd say that Signal Mountain's golf community tends to be a little bit more casual. It's more family oriented. It's a bit more community centric. The initiation fee and the membership fees tend to be significantly lower as well. On Lookout Mountain, the club is a bit more prestigious, it's more luxurious. The monthly dues are significantly higher, and it seems like it can be harder to get into the club, like you might have to go on a wait list or have a member sponsor your initiation. And the next category, I want to talk about location, daily commute, and kind of the daily life and atmosphere of living on both mountains. So from both mountains, a common commute to get to downtown Chattanooga is between 15 and 20 minutes. Now during rush hour, this could be more like 25 to 30, maybe even 40 minutes, depending on how bad traffic is and depending on if there's any issues getting up and down the mountains. Now with Signal Mountain, there really is a big convenience factor in that there is a local grocery store up there, Pruitt's Market. You also have gas stations, you have pharmacies, you have restaurants, there's fast food. There's essentially everything you need to stay up on the mountain and not have to make the commute down into the valley. Like if you wanted to, you could literally just stay up on the mountain and have no pressure to go down into the valley because everything that you really need on a daily basis is going to be up there. On Lookout Mountain, there are very few amenities on top of the mountain itself. There are a couple of restaurants, there's a couple of coffee shops, but beyond that, there's not really a whole lot for your daily essentials. A commute down to St. Elmo, which is at the base of Lookout Mountain between Chattanooga and Lookout Mountain, that is pretty much essential for any of your necessities. So there's no grocery store up there. You're going to have to go down the mountain. Now, winter weather can be a major challenge for both of these communities. Black ice and fog can be frequent hazards in the mornings on your way down the mountains. Now, on Signal Mountain, there is a much wider road going up the mountain. This is Taft Highway or 127. Public Works and services can get up and down the mountain quicker to service the mountain and get things back open quicker. On Lookout Mountain, the roads tend to be a little bit smaller, more winding, more narrow. And so if there is a major storm or if some trees go down, then that can really limit your ability to get up and down the mountain. Let's move on to the next category that we're going to compare these two communities across, which is your tourism and leisure trade-offs that you make with both of these mountains. So when it comes to Signal Mountain, the typical person that's coming up there that doesn't live there is your active adventure tourist. So you have people going up there to hike on the Cumberland Trail, to see various different waterfalls. You've got Julia Falls, you have the Rainbow Lake Wilderness, there's Falling Waterfalls. There are all kinds of beautiful hikes up there that are well worth seeing. There's also Signal Point, which has great views of the Tennessee River Gorge. There are mountain biking trails up there. There's some access to bouldering and rock climbing up there. So those are the sorts of things that tend to draw tourists to the top of Signal Mountain. Now, a significant number of the really well-known and well-promoted tourist activities in the Greater Chattanooga area are located on top of Lookout Mountain. You have Rock City, Ruby Falls, the Incline Railway, Point Park, and most of the hang gliding or paragliding that happens in this area happens from the top of Lookout Mountain. So all of these things are consistently drawing people up there. There's also a very famous place to watch the sunset called Sunset Rock. This has great views, but it really does attract a number of people. You also have world-class rock climbing here, and this attracts a great deal of people to the top of the mountain. I would say that on Signal Mountain, the people going up there tend to be more locals. So you have people local to the Chattanooga area that are going up there to hike or to explore different areas. But on Lookout Mountain, you have tourists from out of state, from out of country even, going to these large, very popular, very well-known tourist locations. Ruby Falls, Rock City, and Point Park, they all do attract locals as well, but I'd say that they're more geared towards people that are not from Chattanooga in general. So the question that you should ask yourself when choosing between these two mountains is, do you want tourists from all over the world really coming into your backyard, or do you want somewhere where it's a little bit further out, a little bit lesser known, and there aren't these huge attractions everywhere? Now, the final category we're going to compare these two mountains across is schools. If you want to know specifics about the ratings of these schools, I would encourage you to check out niche.com or greatschools.org. Both of these allow you to plug specific schools in and get very specific ratings and feedback on those programs. But Signal Mountain goes all the way from elementary to high school, and I've seen reports that up to 75% of the residents on Signal Mountain use the public school system. So it's quite popular. Lookout Mountain on the Tennessee side has an elementary school, but that tends to funnel people into the private school system down in the Chattanooga Valley. A lot of families on Lookout Mountain will send their kids to Baylor, McCallie, or GPS. So you have options on both of the mountains. I'll leave it to you to dive in and figure out what's best for you and your situation. So when it comes down to it, both mountains offer an exceptional quality of life. I would say that Signal Mountain is where the new Chattanooga is going. It's where a lot of the new development is. It's where a lot of people want to be. Lookout Mountain is where a lot of the old Chattanooga is. You've got a lot of the history, the preservation, the deep connections behind this little corner of the world. Drop a comment and let me know which of these areas resonates more with you. If you're seriously considering making a move to the Greater Chattanooga area, let me know. I would love to help. I'm a licensed real estate agent in both Tennessee and Georgia, and you can get in contact by scanning the QR code here on screen or by reaching out through the contact info in the description below. If you made it this far in the video, YouTube thinks you might like some of these videos here. I make a lot of content on what it's like to live in the Greater Chattanooga area, so go ahead and check those out, and I hope to see you in the next one.